Conservation Commission meeting of Wednesday, March 26, 2025. Okay, we have a land disturbance permit. Total Commonwealth Massachusetts Conservation Commission land disturbance permit in accordance with Walpole Stormwater Management Bylaw. It's hereby given the intent of Wall Street Development to construct a proposed two-lot subdivision with associated driveways, utilities, and grading over 40,000 square feet of disturbance at Warwick Road Extension, Walpole, Mass. Map 56, Lot 89 and 90. The application and plans may be viewed at the Conservation Commission Office, Room 212. Town Hall, 135 School Street, or at www.walpole-ma.gov/Conservation Commission. Public hearing, the above matter will be held at Walpole Town Hall, FinCom Room, 135 School Street, March 26, 2025, beginning at 7 p.m. All interested person requested to be present. Okay, what do we have here? Anything to read in? No? Okay. Representing the applicant.
Good evening, everyone. Lou Petrozzi for Wall Street Development Corp. We're here for a land disturbance permit. As you may recall, the commission issued orders, conditions for the subdivision and each individual lot. But somehow, what fell through the cracks was that we hadn't filed for a land disturbance permit. We didn't realize that the notice of intents didn't cover that permit application. So essentially, we're here with some additional details related to the construction of the total area of the subdivision as well as the houses on the lots. As you can see highlighted, we have stockpiling areas, we have erosion control, the detention stormwater management basin, but essentially you've seen this before. There's nothing changed on it. We're simply here to cover that aspect of whatever the permitting is required for the subdivision and the houses on the lots.
Okay.
That's,
Landis?
So I did email Mr. Petrozzi that there are different regulations and different information that's required for the land disturbance permit pertaining to stormwater management and erosion control. Very specific requirements in the regulations that don't always, aren't always provided under the notice of intent application. Section 9B, erosion and sedimentation control plan requirements, basically states either you submit a signed SWEP, which address most of those issues, or you provide the commission with a point-by-point plan with those different requirements.
yeah, we received your email. I forwarded it to our project engineer, and he wasn't aware. I reminded him, and he's in the process of preparing a SWIP for the project. Unfortunately, he's taken another few days off, so I wasn't able to get it for tonight, but probably can get it probably by next week, I would say.
Okay, so the stormwater and erosion control bylaw regulations and bylaw are posted on our website and are readily available if anyone has to file a land disturbance permit.
Yeah.
And it should be site-specific. I mean, that's, besides the stormwater management, which you did go through the notice of intent permitting process and the subdivision control process, that's the piece that is missing.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of it. I'm not a stormwater guy, but we certainly will get it for you. I don't know how you want to handle it. If you want to continue it or you want to make it contingent upon receiving it, it's your call. But it seems to me like a SWIP report is really the only thing that's missing. I think we can provide that prior to commencing any construction on the site, if that's agreeable.
So that's a requirement of the land disturbance permit. If a project requires a stormwater pollution prevention plan, or SWEP, per the NPDES general permit, or stormwater discharges from construction activities as amended, then the applicant is required to submit a complete copy of the SWEP, including the signed notice of intent and approved letter. If the SWEP meets the requirements of the general permit, it will be considered equivalent to the erosion control and sedimentation plan described in this section, which is a requirement of the land disturbance permit. It's is the land disturbance permit. So they issue the land disturbance permit contingent upon getting the information required for the land disturbance permit. I would not suggest the commission do that.
It would seem that continuing would be the appropriate action at this point.
It's up to you. We're not.
I think so. We'll make sure we get it and it meets the requirements.
So I understand correctly, we just want the SWIP report filed with the commission prior to the next time we meet, I guess, prior to.
I think it's stated pretty clearly in this section that the SWIP should be submitted, and then the erosion control, sedimentation control plan, it takes place of that.
Right, the SWIP takes the place of the other.
Yeah, an approved SWIP.
Yeah, he read your email incorrectly, and so I had to remind him, I said, Robert, it's an either or, submit it, and we're.
And I know we even discussed this at other points. The concern was, I know from experience, there's a fair amount of flow that can come down from Summer Street. How are you gonna handle that flow on site to bypass the construction? Is there a temporary sedimentation basin? Didn't see one on the plan for those two lot areas. I mean, those are just two items that are specifically spelled out in the erosion control plan. That also can be addressed in the SWAP.
I agree. Again, I didn't realize when I filed it, I just thought the plan covered it, so.
Okay.
So if you want to continue it for 2 weeks, or, that's fine.
Will you be able to get the information in time enough to review before?
What's on the
next
agenda
meeting?
on the 9th? I know we get, I'm here on the 9th for something else, but, I mean, it's not, to me, it's not necessarily a priority, so I don't really care if we
So
go.
on the 9th, we have 32 Industrial Road, and then we have Comstock Way, a smaller project, and then we have Pinnacle being the last project, so.
I'm perfectly,
Probably be a pretty busy night, I would imagine.
I'm perfectly happy waiting until the 23rd. You guys meet on the 23rd? School
Whatever
vacation.
that would be, 23rd. It would probably be better than give you
Yeah.
time to get the information in, so we have time enough to review it.
Sure. Yeah, I'm
What's your
okay.
deadline, Landis, for getting information in?
A week before.
Yeah, well, so now we have 4 weeks, right, basically, so.
In 2 weeks, if you really want me
If-
to give you comments back and then
Yes.
back and forth things. so.
Yeah, I understood. So we'll do that, and we'll get that done.
Okay.
And I don't really see a temporary sediment basin here either.
No, I didn't.
No, I'm just saying, I'm just looking at it. because you
Okay,
made the
yeah,
comment,
and
but-
stockpile and clean out areas
Right,
and
we'll have the stuff. yeah, okay.
information like that, yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, any comments from the commission? Bailey?
No comments.
Doug?
No.
Medio? Al?
No.
Betsy?
No.
Okay, someone make a motion to continue the hearing till April 23rd, and what do we have on?
Second. Oh, go ahead, Emilio,
What do we,
second.
Whatever.
We don't have any.
No, go ahead.
nothing?
23rd, it's the 23rd, right?
April 23rd
Right, okay.
at Okay, 7 PM?
Yeah,
7 PM on April 23rd. The motion been made. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
600. Thank you. Okay, well, we have a couple minutes. I would just like to, I watched the last meeting on the Walpole Media TV, and I would say we need to remember to have the applicant use the microphone. Also, I just checked with the boys out on manning that the hearing with the school, the first guy came across loud and clear. The next two succeeding, it was very difficult to hear him. And I thought it was maybe the one guy was holding a microphone by his waist, and the next guy had it up by his chest. And it's the same thing. So I asked them if they can tell if the microphone is turned off, because it might have been turned off. Because the first guy was, loud and clear. Anyhow, we need to remember that, because it becomes very difficult to hear what is going on with that, so just a
Jack,
reminder.
Do the guys at the, over there, do they know, can they hear? Do they realize that?
I'm not, well, I asked if they can,
They might not
do you
be able.
do you know if, I asked a question when I came in, can you tell if the microphone is on from the speakers? Yes? Okay, then, and if you notice it's off, then let us know that it is off, so we can get that on. Just for those who are watching at home, it makes it a lot
I
easier.
know, it's hard. I feel like we constantly are telling people to use the mic.
Right.
Yeah,
Maybe we need to put like a sign there.
I think we just have to remember from anybody,
Yeah.
any member, you see it in the individual, whoever it is speaking, to remind them if they're not using the mic. Okay, that's off my soapbox. What do we have before us? We got a certificate of compliance here?
So the certificate of compliance, do you want to do that, Jack?
Yeah, if we're ready, is it ready?
Yeah, it's for Portland Way, which is up on North Street, the four-lot subdivision. It's been complete for a while. The only piece I was waiting for is the documentation that the property owner who has the subsurface stormwater system understood what they had and that there was an operation and maintenance plan to it, and I have that now, so it's ready to go.
Okay. So I'm gonna make that a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
600.
There you go.
Okay. Warwick Road. This is Warwick Road.
Your last certificate of compliance, oh, wow. So take a picture?
Okay, I don't need to read anything in.
No, it's just discussion.
Just discussion,
Just in case you have
okay.
anything there.
This discussion regarding bylaw order conditions for Union Station Village, which was at also 7 Brook Lane. It was open and a hearing was made on March 12th, and hearing was closed. However, there is, as turns out, some discrepancies between the information presented at the hearing and presented for review. So, we have a couple of choices here. I think one would be to write the order of conditions on the amendment, and then open it up for a presentation of amendment that would include the proper information. So that would require another application. So basically asking for a amended, file again for an amended application with all the proper information that would match the presentation. So I don't know, Mr. Petrosi, do you have any comments?
Sure. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend the last meeting, and so things between the consultant and the presentation wasn't accurately presented. And quite honestly, we're hoping to start this work like before things bloom, so it's kind of important that we try to expedite it if we can. But essentially, as you may know, we made a request for a modification to the bylaw order to create a walking path and to do mitigation, invasive management mitigation. So the total of the mitigation after we had our first session, and it was requested that we include this area in pink for invasive mitigation, we submitted a revised plan, and unfortunately, I colored both areas that were depicted as for the non-degraded alteration, and our consultant thought that that represented 3,000 square feet, which was this number here, which is the purple, and didn't pay attention to this notation. So
We know what the difference is.
so
and
the
this
question
This
is-
is not a hearing, so we just want
Right,
to
well,
discuss
I
what
simply was gonna ask for reconsideration, and, which the commission could do, and reopen the hearing, and deal with it that way. I would hate to have to, if I have to come back, we come back, but I mean, I don't think it's.
You'd have to come back anyhow, because if we reopen the hearing, then.
Yeah, well, however you want to do it. Again, I'm just anxious to get some of this done before it becomes
Right.
intolerable out there.
Would that work if we vote to rescind the closing of the hearing and continue it until the next meeting? If you have an affirmative vote, or if there is a vote, someone who votes on the winning side, which would be the affirmative vote, can bring up to review the vote for whatever reason.
But how do we do public notice on that? Because the public thinks that the
Well,
thing was
that's
closed.
an issue. of
Okay,
how-
because they think it's closed.
May I make a suggestion? Typically, if you make a request for a minor modification, there is no public hearing, right? So we could do, as you suggested earlier, is approve the order that you guys voted at the last meeting. We could request a minor modification, which wouldn't require a public hearing, to add this piece of the puzzle. And then that way you covered your bases on that, without reopening the hearing or anything, because the board or the commission has the ability, the discretion to consider minor modifications that don't affect the outcome of don't create any more impacts to the project as we've outlined. So those are two options. I just throw them out because you do have that discretion. It's just a question of, so you could issue the order tonight that that was voted last week, and we request a minor modification. We'll come back in on, well, we can do it tonight, or we can come back in on the 9th, or however you want to do it.
It can be done tonight.
Yeah, so if you give us the order, at least we can start this part of the project, right? We can start this work, and then we'll come in for a minor modification to get that included as the part of the package.
Your thoughts? ma'am?
So unfortunately, I think a lot of mistakes happened with this. One, the information that was submitted by the applicant, that it was inconsistent. It was submitted late. There wasn't enough review period for me, so I wasn't able to review it and see the inconsistencies and make a good report to the commission. And then the hearing was closed. So since then, I've reviewed it, and there's just a couple things that I don't understand. And so one being the plan sub D is different, so the units are different, and that's why part of the unit was in the non-degraded riverfront area, and that was never discussed or brought up or anything during the hearing. The extra 1,845, I think, mitigation area was brought up, but it was different from the 3,000 square foot mitigation area. And then the pathway, which you're also calling mitigation, 4,420,
4,200.
I think.
Yeah, 4,200.
So, so there's all this stuff going on. I wouldn't put a development of a path as riverfront mitigation. And
No,
I'm not
not.
sure why that was included in the 4,420. I'm not sure why that was included as riverfront mitigation. So, and Lou, I looked at the plan, I read the report about 10, 20 times to try and figure out how these numbers were worked, and I couldn't.
Okay, so let me just go back so that if we can refresh the commission. So our original proposal, when we came in, we had 3,000 feet of a circle that was questionable area. We came in and our consultant said that 20% of that was considered degraded in his opinion. So we originally had area for degraded riverfront to be recaptured into the site. We had it in this location here.
600 square feet.
600 square feet. Then the 3,000 square feet was based on, we had 600 feet of pathway. Now, we're not considering the path as mitigation, or we were considering 4 feet on each side times the 600, and that's how we got to the 6,000 square feet of mitigation. We had the hearing. There was a consensus amongst the commission that you didn't want to deal with any more degraded riverfront aspects, that we should call it all invasive mitigation. And it was suggested at that time, let's do the mitigation in a place where it's the most, does the most good. And that's this area right in here, which was suggested to us. So we went back, and originally the degraded riverfront was on supplemental sheet B, because that's where all the other degraded was located on the plan. But I said to, well, if this is just going to be invasive mitigation, let's do a separate sheet for just invasive mitigation. So that's why we created supplemental sheet D, just to deal with invasives mitigation. That's the plan that you have or had before and you have tonight. And on the plan, this plan was always the calculation of what was the total of invasive mitigation. So after we added this in and the other calculation that we had in here and netted everything out, we had 9,000 some odd.
Right, so
Square
can you
feet.
stop there for just a
Yeah,
minute?
sure.
Because this is one of the confusing parts.
Yeah.
So along the river, you had 5,490, I assume in the pink area.
This pink area right here.
And then along the path, you had, how it was written was a 10-foot path with a 4-foot path and 3-foot side areas, being 10 feet. That's how it's written in your report.
yeah.
Being, let me finish, okay?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Being 4,000 and
4,200.
4,200.
Yeah, because we
So
netted out.
adding,
yeah,
then
we-
you added the 4,280 for the path, plus the 5,490 for the riverfront area, and you were calling that mitigation.
I'm calling the invasive mitigation along the path.
Well, what it was, how it was written, it wasn't clear, it was 10 feet.
I understand, you're right, there was some inconsistencies
So,
in there.
okay.
So
So I don't see how they can do anything tonight, honestly, Lou. There's so many questions about how you came up with your numbers.
Strictly-
That if the numbers are 9,490, and then you're doing a 2-to-1 on that, and that's how you're getting your other areas, I think, the green and the purple area,
yeah,
then we have to pick apart a little more how you're getting your what you're calling mitigation and what you're calling development, because
Right.
it's really unclear.
you're absolutely right. I mean, the report that Ecotech provided wasn't the same report.
Well, the 318 one wasn't,
Right.
didn't clarify everything.
Didn't
either.
clarify it. So, just so that we can revisit this at the next time, the path, I mean, we can propose additional mitigation inside this space. The whole place is, you know, the trees are dying and they're falling down and there's lots of stuff in there. So we can propose additional mitigation so that you're comfortable with what we've proposed. The path, in my estimation, the path was to be the path, and then on either side, 4 feet on either side of the path, all the way around, inside and outside, and that's how we got the 4,200, something along those lines, okay? So we can keep that formula, or we can come up with a different formula to satisfy what is considered adequate mitigation for the invasives management.
I think maybe what the commission has to decide and be tuned into is what you're proposing mitigation, and for that mitigation, you're proposing to use more of the non-degraded riverfront area for essentially lawn.
Regrading, replanting, re-shrubbery,
Lawn.
well, it could be lawn, it could be I mean, the decision.
Lawn and
hasn't-
landscaping associated with single-family houses. So it depends, that's what the trade-off is. So the more mitigation he does, the more square footage of areas next to the units that are gonna become landscaped for residential use.
But can I also say that, I mean, I know you folks probably don't realize, or all of these areas that we're talking about, those trees they're falling down. And to me, they pose a hazard to the buildings that we're building there. So I don't think it's a wise decision to simplify this to say, oh, that's gonna be lawn area, it's gonna be replanted. We haven't, we proposed a certain amount of plantings within this area here, and we certainly are open to other types of plantings along that area. But whatever we do there, it's gonna be much better than what's there today.
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
Are your units getting larger?
Excuse me?
Have your units gotten larger,
The only-
closer to those dead trees?
These haven't.
Well,
This one here,
based on the
this-
original one it has.
This one here, this is the building that we originally, when it was drawn, was encroaching in the non-degraded riverfront area. I've moved it out of that, so it's no
So it went
longer
from
there.
42 to 48.
These buildings went from 42 to 48.
The one on the end there next to the purple used to be smaller because you enlarged it into the area that you previously got as
You know, you could look at it.
getting larger, they're getting closer to the trees that you're concerned with being dead.
Either way you draw it up, those trees that are there are coming down one way or the other. The wind is either gonna blow them down, they're gonna die. If there's a house there and the tree falls on the house, then I don't know what the liability responsibility is relative to this conversation, but we're doing things that we think are the best scenario for the project and for the site. But this is not what we would call a riverfront area that has a lot of value, in my opinion. You can go and have your own people look at it, but this is a quagmire of fallen trees, invasive species, and trees that are dying and falling down every time there's a windstorm. So we can clean it up a little bit, we can eliminate hazards, we can make it a little bit more beneficial to a typical riverfront area would be considered. Or you can put your head down and say, well, no, we're not gonna let them do that. But certainly not gonna do this unless I can get that. You asked,
Where is the 200-foot
the
riverfront
200
area
foot is
line?
the orange,
That line, okay.
right. And so,
So if you want to do any work within that, which is within our jurisdiction, then you need to let us know that's what you want to do. If you're going to take the trees down, then what are you going to do to replace, or what's it going to be?
so,
Where the trees were, what are you going to do to give us
I'm just-
some equivalent?
right, so if
Vegetation.
the trees are dead or dying or
I know, it's still a lot of vines and.
then what we do here is gonna be enhanced by what we take out of there. It's either gonna be some level of vegetation, either trees, a mixture of trees and shrubs, grass, lawn area, could be a whole number of things, depending on, there is a different, there's a different elevation from here to there, probably about 6 or 8 feet, so it's gotta slope down to this location. So it's not like it's flat area. So there's a lot of things that you would do on a slope. You would plant shrubs, could put grass. I'd hate to say that it's gonna be grass or a lawn area because it's gonna be like a 3-to-1 slope going down to there. Now, if the commission says, we want you to like grade into that a little bit more, make it more of a friendlier environmental location, fine, we can look at doing that. But to say that we're gonna just trade off this mitigation for extra lawn area that doesn't really help us much other than making it more aesthetically pleasing and a walking trail that is gonna benefit the
We
homeowners.
don't want to get in,
Yeah,
this is what a hearing would be for, so you make a presentation of what you're there, and if the commission has some suggestions or recommendations for other than what is presented, but we need a presentation of what you want to do there, and then we can review that and see if we think it's appropriate.
I just bring up my point to the commission, just so he doesn't come back with a similar scenario, is if there's mitigation to the riverfront area, it should be beneficial to the riverfront area. So I think the commission should rule on the mitigation as beneficial to the riverfront area. I think that's why I was suggesting to do it next to the river. The mitigation along the path be beneficial to the river if everywhere else has invasive species? Would some kind of landscaping adjacent to, well, I would consider the green and purple area as developed area, so there's a trade-off between that's the 2-to-1. if he's doing twice as much mitigation, then he gets half of that in those green or purple areas. But I think that's what, if the commission, before, when there was a proposal to kind of take the whole area and do a mitigation plan for invasive species, the commission decided that's not gonna work, because invasives come back, and it wasn't gonna be beneficial in the long run. So if doing the whole area wasn't beneficial in the long area, is doing little bits and pieces of it beneficial in the long run? I don't know, I guess it's just up for the commission to decide. I'm just suggesting maybe some direction,
So, Mr.
just
Chairman,
coming back with a plan.
Mr. Chairman, under the proposal, we proposed 100 plants and shrubs to be planted. Now, we had half of them in this area here, and the other half, to be determined either along the path or on each side or in this area here. Now, Landis is correct that this is I want to say, our original proposal was to do real mitigation there originally. It's 32,000 square feet, and we were looking for additional area that was being used for actual, taking non-degraded riverfront area, making it developed and permanently developed area by putting buildings on it. That was the original reason why the commission didn't want to go for it. But this is different. This is taking a land area that is godforsaken, I would call it an eyesore, and taking it and making it a little bit nicer looking than it is. It is riverfront area. There are, you folks can walk it and just, you can go see there. It's like a disaster area. And so if you want to help out and do something, that's fine. If you don't, we'll just call it a day. I'm not going to beg everybody to do something that was right, so. But if you want to advertise for another hearing for the 9th, that would be helpful, if you can do it.
When is the,
Can you do it?
We can't it's not enough time to advertise for a hearing.
Then put it on for the 20th.
Be the 23rd.
Put it on for the 23rd. It's just that
23rd?
if the stuff starts to bloom, we're not going to be able to do stuff there, so.
Then I guess this should have been done earlier.
Well, that's why
I
I'm,
don't know, Lou.
but that's why I'm suggesting that let's take the order that was approved at the last meeting. Let us get started and let us make a request for minor modification to add the rest of it in, and then the commission can make conditions upon that regarding other shrubbery and landscaping. So at least it will give us an opportunity to start. Because my understanding is that at the order was to do stuff here in exchange for this. Am I correct? 3,000. The order, what was approved at the last meeting was this area here for this area here. Is that correct?
That's partially my understanding,
Yeah,
yes.
so why don't we go forward with that, and then we'll advertise for the 23rd to do a minor modification. And we'll deal with this as well as the, how we want to treat the path. But, you really got to get out there and walk it, because it really is a disaster area out there. So, but that's, would be my suggestion.
I don't think it's a minor modification if you're talking about disturbing a resource area. It's generally not a minor modification.
Okay. Well,
well,
call
you're
it whatever you want. I call it a-
you're advertising, so it doesn't make a difference, we would call it minor, call it a major modification, then you have to advertise, which you've agreed that would be
Right.
okay. So I think that then by definition means it's a major modification.
I know.
So, okay.
Everybody has their, and I'm perfectly happy notifying the abutters one more time to do it, but I think it's worth the trouble to go this route and make it a better situation.
No for the 23rd, it runs on April 10th.
Okay.
Right?
Just checking.
Meeting on the 23rd, it runs the 3rd, and it runs on the 10th.
Sorry, thank you.
It's okay.
We could,
You want to?
we could make the 23rd? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, you have, I don't know, statute, under the bylaw, you have 21 days from the close of the hearing to issue the order for the first, am I right?
Right.
Amendment, yeah. So
So,
if you want us to move forward with issuing the amendment, as you just stated, the 5,490
Yeah.
mitigation for the 3,000.
yeah, well, I
Involved
guess,
there, you-
yeah. I mean, it's better to let us get going, do something positive there than not, than wait till the season gets
And
looming.
you'd have to file an amendment for the rest.
I'll file a letter for an amended thing, same thing.
So it's not guaranteed, it goes through the process.
Listen, nothing's guaranteed, but, file an appeal too, we have 60 days, so it's up, we can go this route, or we can be friendly about it and do the right thing, so.
You comfortable with that?
Well, my recollection is that the invasive species plan, the pink area was discussed, and so was the 3,000, so I think it's fair that issue the amendment approving both of those, because I think you guys did approve both of those. And then if he wants to file the request to amend for additional work, then that's his prerogative.
We can put that in the order for the amendment. It was closed last hearing.
Right, that's what I mean, yeah.
Okay.
That the approval
the-
would be for the
Okay,
mitigation, the pink area, and for the
So-
purple area.
so
3,000
it requires,
square feet.
it will require you to file another amendment.
Yeah, no, I understand, so,
Okay.
so, so the trade-off then would then be the walking path for this. That's what the amendment's gonna be for, so.
Yeah,
Well,
there's
and
some
we'll
other,
deal with the square footage and the mitigation and the
there's some
amounts.
other issues with that, which we
Yeah,
would
well-
need to discuss. Okay, so,
I have a comment.
Yeah.
So one of the things you're doing anyway, though, is going into that godforsaken area, as you put it, and pulling out all the trash, right? I
We've
mean-
done that already,
Oh,
believe it or
okay.
not. We did a lot of it, last week or the
Oh,
week
okay.
before.
In the pink area as well? Or
We haven't been in the pink area because that's heavily infested, and I had to get the engineer out there to stake the property line, so we weren't encroaching on anyone's property. So we staked this line and this line, so that we know where we are relative to the other people's property. And then we staked out the rest of the property line too, so that we know that we're on our property when we do this work. So some of the handwork was done a couple of weeks ago, between rainstorms. So there is stuff that we've pulled out of there, and some other brush and stuff that we've pulled out of there already. So this is really kind of a good faith, exercise. We're doing stuff that we think is good for both the riverfront area and for our project, and for the residents that are gonna be there. It's really kind of, I would say, a win-win for everybody that gives us the opportunity to do that. So I'll send another letter in requesting an amendment or a minor modification to an amendment, or whatever you call it.
Amendment to the order of conditions.
Yeah, okay.
Or the
Let me,
additional work.
just out of curiosity, what would you consider a minor amendment, a minor modification? Like,
this
rounding off the
project, I
pointers.
did it's, you look at each project and see how it relates to the total and what is being changed. We've had some where they wanted to change the location of their porch or whatever, a garage or now building or something, and then usually it results in less encroachment towards the wetlands, reduces the activity within the bordering vegetated wetland. So that's, depends what it is. We look at each one. There's no set rules that this is,
No, that's what I'm
this is a
asking.
major or this is a minor. We look at the whole picture.
Right, well, that's why I was saying, we would
So-
consider this to be minor, since we're not building anything, we're only enhancing things.
It's significant with the work that's within the riverfront area. So, at this point, we will write an order for the hearing that was closed last week. And when does he have to get his information in to get it advertised for, was it 23rd?
Excuse me, April 3rd.
April 3rd,
Yeah.
the 23rd.
I'll go home tonight and I'll do it.
So you have to get that information in, okay? So, thank you.
That's it? You don't want to talk to me anymore?
That's not
Well, I haven't-
really, I don't mind talking to you if you want to wait till after our
We
meeting's
have a lot of
over.
stuff on the board, so we'll be back.
We'll be here till 11, so if you want to wait, we can talk more.
All right, thanks very much.
Okay, thank you, Lou. So let's, we could talk to, we don't have anything else time-wise, right? Let's talk to Mr. Ryan, and we'll get back to this.
Good evening, folks.
Want to use the microphone, please, Dan?
Absolutely, yes. I was here to just discuss the water level at Turner's Pond. I had emailed with Landis about that. However, it's lower than it's been in 15 years. I do believe a board was taken out, possibly last year, I would assume so, and it was never put back in. So what we dealt with this winter was a very large piece of ledge right at the waterfront, and that's never been there in the 15 years that we've operated up there. The beach has been now done, and the piece of ledge is still sitting there, even after some of the rain we've gotten. It's still sitting there. It's always been underwater. I understand that April can carry some rain, however, all the research that we've done, and I think everybody on this board could do the same research. What's coming in April is nothing monstrous, and it's nothing over and above what we'd be getting for April rain. What we're requesting is for the one board to be put back in before the shoreline starts to grow. As you all know, when the pond's lower, the shoreline's gonna grow, and it's gonna grow with stuff that now we can't touch. We've put a lot of time in the last few weeks into redoing the beach and making everything nice and pretty up there, and the last thing we wanna see is for it to start to grow. And that's what it does, essentially, and I think you all know that.
Okay. The water level typically has been to lower it in the winter, take a board out and keep it out until, see what happens in the spring with normal spring rains. We typically get more precipitation in the spring. So, I mean, that's what's been done for, that's a number of years. I think that's been the practice as long as I can recall, that we,
I'm not
Dealing with
disagreeing
the
with that,
pond.
Jack, but there was a board that was taken out at some point that was never put back in because that piece of ledge became apparent back in the very early fall. And again, it's never been present in 15 years of running that building. So I don't know if there was a miscommunication somewhere. I'm not blaming anyone, I don't mean it like that. But a board wasn't put back in at some point. So we're already lower than we should be. So if it's a 6-inch board, you're talking 8 inches of water potentially with how the outflow works. But we're starting into the spring, say, 6 to 8 inches lower than we even should be. So it's not, I understand taking the board out and then, moving forward in May, but We're minus a board already, though.
Okay, I guess this is the issue, is, has there been any more, any additional boards removed? Because I think it's typically done in the fall to remove a board. I don't know what's different. I don't know what I think you, Landis, normally ask the DPW to remove a board and then, again,
Yeah,
put
but
it
boards were
back
probably
in the
removed
spring.
when the pond was way too high and it was flooding out some people's backyards, of which it does. And, so I just don't see the point of putting another board in. This is the first I've heard. I mean, no one said anything all winter long or anything like that. There was no conversation that the pond was low or whatever. And now in the end of March, you want a board to be put in. And I think it's been working fine so far, so why can't we wait another month or 3 weeks to see what rains we get this spring, rather than what happens. It's my experience of being on my 23rd year here with the town of Walpole, that sometimes we're putting boards in, we're taking boards out, we're putting boards in, we're taking boards out, and that's crazy. So right now, it's at a good level. We have spring rains come in. We've had these incredibly flash flooding rains that are just getting worse and worse as the years go on. So I think it's more important to just keep it at the level now, and once we, kind of pass the spring rains, we'll put a board in and it'll be brought up again. And it'll flood out the areas that you're concerned with the vegetation. And the vegetation, it's probably wetlands vegetation, so I don't see why that's an issue. So that's my point of view. The pond will still be treated for invasive nuisance vegetation. We're gonna, and I sent you information about that as well, and didn't get any response back, but we're going to do a better treatment for the invasive treatments for the pond this year, a larger area than we have done in the past with sonar, which will, help tackle a lot of the invasive species. So I just don't see the point of raising the pond right now.
So.
Go ahead.
Maybe I'm not even presenting this properly. I'm assuming I am, and I apologize if I'm not. A board should be in right now that's not in. That's what I'm trying to say. The pond is lower than it's ever been in 15 years by an entire board.
And why is
So-
that a problem, Danny? I'm a little confused
Well,
with
the-
that. Why is
so
that an issue?
You can always release water, you can't just add water, though. So, we noticed this back in the late fall. However, we were getting into winter, so there's really no need to deal with it at that point, and we're not gonna try to have a board put in during the winter, because now we're in skating season. And that never works out properly either. So, we waited until, now or a week ago when I started emailing you about it. The point is, we don't want a board put in just for fun. I don't mean it that way. A board wasn't put back in previously that's supposed to be there. So a million years ago, the late great Roger Turner built a dock down to the pond, a ramp, if you will, that all the skaters went down, all right? The water level went to the end of that ramp. Apparently, that's not the water level that we have anymore. I'm not really sure why. However, we were maybe 5 feet away from that, moving forward, and we were fine with that. Now we're even further away. So it's not that we want a board put in just because we want more water. A board wasn't put back in, so we're already lower than we were even last spring. All we're asking is that one more board gets put back in, so we're at the spring level that we're supposed to be at. That's all we're asking. This isn't to add a board because we think that's a good idea. A board is missing that should have been put in probably last year, and I don't think it was ever put back in. And maybe something was misinterpreted in the crossfire. I'm not blaming anyone for this, but a board is supposed to be in there. If any of you went up there and saw where the water level is now, it's much lower than it's been in 15 years. And when I say that, I promise you, I live for this place. This is what we do up here, and it is way lower than it's supposed to be. The entire pond is way lower than it's supposed to be. And we would just like the board put back in so that we're back at where we're supposed to be this time in the spring. 'Cause
Okay,
we're
why don't we,
already lower.
take a look at it and see, and check with whoever takes care of doing the boards with the Public Works Department,
Parks Department takes care of the boards.
and what they have done. They can, I don't know,
It's
they
usually a
store them someplace.
recommendation, and what, to me, what difference does it make if it, depending on what board was when? I mean, it was taken down because we were getting these flash floods, and it was rising, and it was causing trouble.
Yeah.
So we kept it low. It may be lower now, but we get these incredible rains of flash floods, and we're out there putting boards in, taking boards out, so it was kept low, so we don't have to do that. So they certainly will be put in again once the spring potential flash flooding is over.
So you say about 3 weeks?
I think we need to get through or near the end of April,
To
because
me, it's just the
April
timing,
is.
it's the timing, it's just not a
It's not the
good timing.
timing, the pond is lower than it's
Yeah,
ever been.
But I think before we go raising the level, we need to consider the potential for heavy rains, which is typical this time of year, between now and into, typically through into April. And
Can
I
ask-
think with your concern with vegetation encroaching, when the level is raised up, it'll take care of that vegetation. Plus, they are going to be doing some treatment, which should benefit vegetation, around the shoreline,
So if we have to wait 3 weeks for a board to get put in, essentially 2 boards should get put in, because one was never put back in.
No, we'll check on that. I don't
Is
know
that
about the
something
water.
that I can get in writing, or is that just a matter of
No,
opinion
no,
now?
we're gonna take a look at it, and we'll see, well, depends on the weather. If we start getting heavy rains, if
So
it's. if
we've
it's
done our
not-
research on what's to come in April, and nothing says that we're going to get these monstrous rains.
We've had
We do this on
increased,
purpose.
we've had increased rain intensities over the last several years, very noticeable. And, you can't say you're not gonna get, again, a repeat of an intense rainstorm. So I think we'll keep an eye on it,
Yeah, but
and,
then a board gets taken out if something like that's projected. There's people in place to do stuff like this. I don't want to recreate the level of the pond, which is already 6 to 8 inches lower than it's supposed to be.
okay, we'll consider your request, but right now, we're gonna hold off on putting
So the
any
answer is no.
board in. At this point, yes, that's correct. But we'll take a look and see what, if this is,
So Does
I
that,
think-
does that come to a vote? Is there
That we
discussion
have.
here? Or is this just you and me and Landis Jack? Does this come to a vote? Is there a discussion with the rest of the committee?
anybody on the commission have any questions or comments? Bailey?
Yeah, I have a.
Oh, wait, let me go through, Well, Bailey, any question?
If it happens in a few weeks, I hope that's amenable, but I agree with Dan, if he's missing a board, he should have a board, because then he's supposed to get a second one coming this spring, and he's been missing one this whole time, so I feel for that perspective, but that's it.
Doug?
I think the concern about a flood is reduced now that the frozen turf is gone, a lot of the water can percolate into the soil. So I don't think putting the board back is a big risk, but it is something that could be taken out if there was a hurricane coming up the coast or something. So,
Okay. Emilio?
Yeah, I'm not clear, how many boards are missing, how many should be there and all that, so I leave it up to the Parks Department's determination to see what should be there and what the prudent level is, but I don't know, I just don't know what boards, how many boards, did you count the boards? I don't know enough about how many there should be there, so I would, like I said, I would leave it up to the Parks Department and to your determination to see what makes sense.
Okay, Al?
well, it looks to me like
If we add a 6-inch board, that means the level of the pond would come up maybe 7 inches thereabouts. Is there anything that says we have to use 6-inch boards? Why couldn't we start by inserting a 4-inch board or a 3-inch board instead of a 6-inch board? A 6-inch increase, 7-inch increase of level, it's rather a large amount all of a sudden. Why not do a lesser amount and see what the results are? And I think I agree with Doug that the ground isn't frozen anymore, and it will start to percolate into the ground, which we need very badly. The groundwater level, I believe, is still low, and we still need rain to bring that up. But now that the ground is thawed, and I know it's thawed because I've been out there digging, and I think maybe 6 inches excessive. No, it's too bad that we have to rely on raising or lowering the level by removing boards, because we haven't done anything to modernize that system. But I don't think everything should stand on a 6-inch amount. That's all I have to say at the moment. Betsy?
Yeah, and I had a question, because maybe I don't understand how town boards work, but surely there's a work order out there that was for a board to be put in, or there's not a work order because the board wasn't put in. What kind of records does the park department keep on this? I know Roger was pretty meticulous on the records, but surely there's something that says how many boards are typically in, how many are in now, that kind of thing. Is there?
I don't know if the Parks Department or DPW keeps track of the boards. I at one point did, and I probably might have lost calculation of the boards, because to me, it's not an issue of how many boards are there. It's an issue of the level of the pond and the time of year, and trying to prevent this occurrence that has occurred in the past of having these major storms, and other people don't like the level of the pond, so the DPW has to rush out, take out boards when the pond is really high. It's very difficult to take out boards. So to me, it's better to just keep it low for a period of time until we bring it back up in the spring. So, but if that's the approach that I've taken, and if it was kept too low over the winter and now it's low, you're considering it lower than normal, I guess we can look and see if we can put maybe if there's a 4-inch board or something like that, put it in, bring it up. I would rather not, because I'm the one that gets the frantic calls from the other people, and then I get the calls from these people, they want them in, I get calls to say they want them out, and it's like this back and forth. So I'm always being more conservative as to how much water is in the pond. And that's sort of the approach that.
Landis, who are the people that are complaining about the level being too high?
Some people around the pond, yeah.
Because the level was
And I-
even way higher even before, and the pond was born at a level, if you will.
I don't really want to go back and forth on that, Danny. I want to understand a
We're
little more.
going with a
Dan,
matter of
Dan,
opinion.
hold it.
I just want to know a little more concern that if you want to board in because it has always been in, it isn't in now, or because there's something to do with the pond, that there needs to be more water. And I think you mentioned the vegetation, and it's more the vegetation that's going to come up at the beach area, that if it starts growing there, then you're concerned with that vegetation.
That's a major concern, but as I had said before,
Understand.
the pond is lower than it's been in 15 years. There
And
is
the problem with that is,
the problem with that is that that's not the level of the pond, and as I had said,
is,
you can always remove water from a pond, but you can't just add it. You can't turn a switch to do that. Water is a resource, and we need to keep it.
but once the boards go in, the pond will come up, yeah.
Correct.
Okay. One of the issues that I
Whatever the
recall
commission wants to do.
from
I
past
coordinate.
discussions on the level of the pond was that there was a problem using less than the 6-inch board. It was determined that that was, and I think this, what I recall, and this goes back a number of years, so it may not be exactly right, but there was some issue with using smaller boards that would bring it up in like 2-inch increments to 6 inches, of being able to handle the boards, and whether they would be, as far as putting them in and taking them out, and whether they would withstand pressure on them. That was the issue that, as I recall, it was not recommended to use a smaller board. The 6 inches worked. So why don't we take a look, and we're gonna, I agree with Landis that I think we need to be cautious regarding the potential for high water, and that when we get through, the quote, the spring potential rain season, then we can do, see that another board gets put in. And we'll try to find out if there's any record of what has been done, or where the boards are, or how many takes, or who does it. I don't know what. We could look into that, but I think right now, we'll give it, my suggestion that we wait at least well into April before we make any decision on adding a board at the dam.
So this, excuse me, this isn't a votable issue?
This is, we can, I think at this point, Landis is the one who has to deal with the, any complaints that come in because of high water. So I think we defer to Landis' recommendation, and we'll take a look and see what we find out without immediately going and putting in a board.
All right, well, can I at least ask that this is something that could be looked into sooner than later?
Yeah?
Like, you know, maybe even by the end of the week, if someone could go up and take a peek and see just how low it actually is?
I did go up there, Danny. I periodically go up there like all the time.
Do you know what the water level was last spring opposed to this spring, though?
I couldn't sit here and exactly tell you,
Right,
but
we
I know
can
the
tell you
last time we took.
exactly where it
I know
was.
the last time we took out boards, there was so much water behind there that it was bending everything, so we don't want to get into that situation again. I'll talk to Jimmy Thomas and see, what their recollection of what boards have been taken out and what boards were there.
Okay.
I'll look into it. But to me, just to put one back because they were there before doesn't add up. There has to be some reasons, but if you can put it in a board and safely not rise the elevation of the pond, that'd be a problem. If we get a big flash storm, then maybe we can put it in a board. That's my concern. That's
Well, hopefully,
health of the pond and the abutters.
hopefully with whatever investigations do get done over the next few days, it will be realized that a board is missing and that we really would like to see it go back in.
Okay. We'll take a look.
Do you want to talk to the commission about the bridge at all, or you still
That's got
don't know
nothing to
anything
do with the
about
Ponds
that?
Committee.
Okay.
That's got nothing to do with the Ponds Committee whatsoever.
So I'm just curious, the Ponds Committee, do they meet any formal time?
We don't meet in formal time, no.
Okay.
I don't believe there's any type of a rule that says we need to.
Yeah, there is.
Well, it's never been brought to us.
And in order to communicate with the Ponds Committee, how would I do that?
You could contact me.
Okay, because I have contacted you several times with information, I never get a response, except for recently about the boards, so.
I'm unaware of not responding to you about an issue.
I've sent you information about the pond treatments and stuff and haven't gotten any response back.
Well, I would assume that would be informational, so yes, we deal with that and we read it, and, I mean, that's a job that, you're doing in the office and stuff, and you're dealing with all the treatments and stuff like that, which we greatly appreciate, believe me.
Well, I would really appreciate and really love a little more communication with the Ponds Committee, other than with issues like this, because it would be great to have a little more coordination, so I'm putting that out there.
I agree with that 100%.
Okay, so if I send you information, you can respond back. I think I've asked questions of what the Ponds Committee think, because I have no other way of, you guys don't meet anywhere or have minutes or agendas or anything, so there's really no formal way to communicate with you guys.
Right. Well, I could use your email and share it with the rest of the group. We are much like everybody on this board right here. We have lives and jobs and stuff, and I commend everyone sitting here for being able to be here and able to do this stuff.
So do you vote on issues?
There's no issues for us to actually vote on at the time. If there was an actual issue we needed to vote on, then yes, we'd have an actual formal meeting. But there's nothing really votable going on during a skating season,
There
per
was
se.
no vote pertaining to putting a board to wanting a board in the pond?
No, this is something that's been discussed throughout all of us, though. I'm here representing the Ponds Committee. It's not necessary to have a vote that I'm here. I'm here representing us as a committee.
Or that the Ponds Committee wants a board put in?
We want the board put back in that was never put back in the first place, yes.
There's no vote. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
Loud and clear.
okay,
Thank you
thanks, Dan.
folks so much. I appreciate your time.
Okay, we got to finish up from the
Segue
Wall
to,
Street.
I was gonna say,
we need to
segue the
write-
next ponds thing. Maybe segue to the next ponds
What do you
thing.
need?
We need to write the order for the,
It was
Amended
written.
order.
It
It
just
was
wasn't
written.
issued, so I think. what
issued,
we-
okay, well, you're gonna vote to add, did that include requiring that an amendment be filed for the, whatever that area is?
My understanding is the amended order of conditions would only include the 5,490 mitigation area and the 3,000 renewed developed area, which wouldn't include structures. And then we had some conditions pertaining to how the mitigation area would be,
Okay, so there was no, we had talked this evening about putting in there a requirement that he file an amendment? Or that's not?
I thought the message was if you want additional work to be done, then
Yeah.
you would have to submit another
Yeah.
Okay, so
request to
that's-
amend.
Okay.
That's
so we
what
don't
I
have to
thought
do
you
it.
were referring to.
Okay.
So-
Yeah.
All right, so that's,
So the amendment would only cover a certain portion of it,
Yeah.
and if he wants more, he has to resubmit, and the
Right.
commission would review that
Right.
on an independent basis.
okay.
Is that-
I was thinking the same way
that's
would
over.
be the other Turner's Pond thing.
Oh. Go ahead, Landis, you
Yeah,
had
so
some,
just in my report, I just want to bring to the commission's attention, the Turner's Pond is a conservation property. Some of the commissioners don't realize that it was purchased under the Conservation Commission. So I was there to look at the beach stand that was renewed, which was under the order of conditions, and it looked great. I was very happy with that. But I noticed that there was some wooden planks over a stream that comes out of a culvert that goes under Elm Street. And that actually is a solid blue line on the USGS on the other side of Elm Street, which makes it a river. And then it goes into a culvert, comes out just short of the parking area, and then is open and goes into the pond. And there was some boards over there and some footings, and it looked like they were constructing a bridge. So I asked, corresponded with Danny Ryan, asked him if he knew about it. He said he didn't know anything about it. And then another Ponds Committee member, Kenny Southwood, came in the office and said he knew about it and he was constructing it. And he basically doesn't have any permits. He didn't come to the Conservation Commission. So I asked him to remove it. Apparently, it's a memorial for a Ponds Committee member who had passed. But message I basically gave him was, he needs to come before the commission, talk to the building commissioner as well, because the building commissioner was there and he was concerned about this bridge being built as well. So the material was just removed off of the stream banks and put to the side until further, till we hear something else about it. An update.
okay. Anybody have any questions? Hearing none?
So Turner Pond was purchased by the Conservation Commission, is that what you said?
It was purchased by the town but then it was made Conservation Commission property.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's under our purview?
Yes.
Yeah, it's, Turner's Pond and the land around it
Yeah.
is,
Right,
It's
so,
the Turner
public land.
Pond
is,
Preserve area.
yeah,
and
so it's your purview to put a board in, take a board out,
Yeah.
because it's our, so the Ponds Commission is, what's their purview of
Ponds
this?
Commission has been operating the lodge and taking
Okay.
care of the beach and running the skating program
In fishing.
Okay,
and,
but the pond
but
is,
with our agreement
okay,
that they can do those things.
okay,
But it is conservation property.
all right,
It's under our jurisdiction.
yeah. So if we want to keep a board out, we'll put a board in, it's our purview to do that.
I'll look into it a little more to see if I can understand.
I just want to,
the
I
boards we're taking
understand what
out.
the, okay.
But actually, it is a town board on the list, and they are required by law to meet, interestingly,
Okay,
and vote,
okay,
like normal people.
okay.
And I would expect to post minutes of their meetings, which is a normal
And they should
requirement
know
for a
what each
public
other is doing
committee.
as well.
Right,
If one
right.
of them is building a bridge, the other should know.
Understood.
Right, when
Okay.
Roger Turner was a part of the Ponds Committee, and he also was a associate member and then a member, I
Right.
got a lot more information, so.
Right, okay. Got it.
Okay, what else do we have here?
Pollination plans?
You got, I did that.
This has more
We did
detail
have
on what we,
anything.
so we got all this, Jack.
Yeah,
Yeah.
did that have any, anything new on the, South Street?
No, I sent an email to them asking for them to update, you know, their schedule of construction and when they're planning on doing the plantings, and they didn't respond, so I will try again.
Does it look like they're doing work there currently? Every time I go by, it looks like there's nothing going on.
Yeah, I think it's stalled at the
Well,
moment.
that has me concerned,
Yeah.
because if it's stalled at the moment, they're not gonna, at a moment's notice, get all those piles out from the back, and they're not gonna plant anything, and we'll go another season, or more than a season. That's the concern. It looks
Yeah.
like it's stopped.
Might want to check with them and see what they're,
Right, so
plans are.
I emailed them and they didn't respond, so I will take another approach and see if I can get his number or address and
Yeah.
send him a storm letter or something. if that
Okay.
works.
nothing new on the appeals. That's, we have that. Okay, planning board comments, Winter Estates, that,
Yeah, so what,
Winter
what-
Estates
Winter
we did,
Estates
right?
was approved by the commission, Quail Run subdivision was, approved by the commission, and Kearsarge 400 Main Street. Those were all approved by the commission, and they're just in the planning board process, so I'll, you know, just if there's any substantial changes that are in the jurisdiction of the commission, they should, send us a letter and decide if they need to modify or amend.
okay, and we've got, what else we have there, that Medfield 40B, anything else?
yeah.
Before we get to that?
Just so, informational, again, 1049 West Street, that's Freiberg's property off of West Street. They came in and asked me, they want to put in some beehives on the property, and in order to help the bees, they wanted to put in pollinator plants in the 25-foot no alteration area. They talked about not taking any of the plants that were in there already out or disturbing it in any way, just sticking plugs of pollinator plants. There'd be no pesticides, no fertilizers or anything. So I just wanted to get a feel of the commission, if that's something that they could do, would be okay, or if you wanted some kind of formal request to modify or amend the plan.
No issue with those plants taking over, or like, you know, killing other plants, or you know what I mean? They wouldn't take over, or like, they're not invasive plants, obviously, right?
Yeah, they wouldn't be invasive. I think maybe getting a list of what they want to
I
plant.
thought a list would be appropriate, because it is a legitimate thing to know what they have in mind.
Yeah.
It could be non-native, well, they said native though, didn't they?
said native.
Okay.
Do you know what type of bee they're getting? Like, is it for honey, or is it to pollinate, you know, around there are natural bees, and then you can get in other types of bees?
Good question. I guess my assumption was for honey.
Yeah.
So those
They
types of
probably wanna
bees
market.
can compete with native bees and native pollinators too, just for consideration. How many hives were they looking to do?
5.
5.
A little bee told me.
Although we don't have any laws about that. I mean, the animal control people don't, I know because I looked into it. So there are no bylaws about number of hives you can have.
Any additional pollinators won't do any harm. They are on the decline.
Well, she's making a point that they outcompete
They can be
natural ones,
natural.
but we
Natural,
don't
but,
have a
yeah.
bylaw that we can call into play.
They wouldn't, well, they wouldn't be there if there's no plants there.
Right.
We can't be saying anything about that.
So do you want more information in a, like a
What kind of plants?
request to modify or just a plant list?
Plant list, I think, would be, a plant list okay with everybody?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, what else we got on here? That it? I wanna just go over that Medfield project.
Sure. So I think you got some information in your packet. I've been getting a couple emails and phone calls about this 40B. That's being filed in Medfield. It's 86 Plain Street, which Plain Street is Granite Street in Medfield. And the Conservation Commission abuts this project. The conservation land is the land off of Elm Street. So it's we're a pretty major abutter in Walpole. So the comments the emails I'm getting is just, does the Walpole Conservation Commission have any comments on this project?
Have you seen any plans with it, or just that it's,
I have.
you have?
I have.
Okay. What is the, what do they have on the border from the Medfield project to our property in Walpole? Is there any fencing or barriers to keep, you said 40 units,
No, 24.
24?
So I think Sarah's brought up, so the large parcel that is 86 there, and the conservation land is the green. And then there, Medfield has some conservation land above ours to the bottom there. Can you access the conservation files now? So if you go to case Medfield. And then site plan. And then you have to like scroll down for a little ways. That's the site. There's a lot of there, stop there. Okay. So that's the development. So there's a large portion of wetlands on site. So everything from the south is pretty much wetlands, except there's a little upland area where they want to put a septic. But, so the development is all squished in down there to the southern part of the lot.
They're gonna have a septic system for that?
Yeah, there's no sewer.
Wow.
Yeah, which,
Jeez.
what are we looking at here on that? To the left is, which would be what, west on that map? That's Medfield?
This development is all in Medfield.
Yeah,
Walpole is to the east.
east,
Right there.
yeah,
Yep.
okay,
Borders directly with the project.
yeah.
And it's, a lot of it is wetlands,
All along that border?
most of the border.
And they're building up to the Walpole line on that. Is that wetlands and in Walpole?
Yeah, so I know it might be hard to see, but if you see the blue line, yeah, that's wetlands.
Okay,
And then to the south, there's another blue line up
Yeah.
top. That's the wetlands. There. And so if you see that kind of road to the south, yeah, that's a gravel road which is gonna access further south. In between the blue areas, there's a little knoll which they're gonna be putting the septic system.
For the whole, for the whole development? Is it land-
No, there's actually a couple other smaller ones.
So the blue line is the wetland line? Okay.
Yeah, the blue line is the wetland line. There's, they delineated a vernal pool in this area too. In the blue area.
So that there's nothing we can say about them staying off the line a certain amount or?
Well, you're a butter, so like any butter comes to our meetings and has concerns.
Right.
If we have concerns, we would
Right.
give it to them.
But since it's a 40B, or what special Walpole concerns might we have that would be different from Medfield's? I mean, their bylaws aren't gonna be upheld, and nor will ours, right?
Right.
Okay.
Has the Medfield Conservation Commission met on this topic?
So my understanding is sometime last summer, an ANRAD was filed to delineate the wetlands line. So the Medfield Conservation Commission saw the wetlands line and an ORAD was issued for the wetlands.
Well, do we need to ask for that to be reviewed then? I wonder if that's something that we can ask for, because it's the wetlands line, so they went on to Walpole land, and you weren't informed, right? Did you know that they were doing that, or you did?
I don't, if it came, it kind of went over my head. I didn't,
Is it
if
the-
in a butter, we never got a copy of the ORAD, or the ANRAD.
So for a project this big and complicated, we might have a consultant come in for a second opinion on the wetland lines. Could that be our comment? That for something this big and this complicated with its own septic system, that's the wetland line that they delineated is partly on Walpole land, that we'd like to have a second opinion, as we often do in Walpole? Can we put that in the letter?
So I'm not sure what process they went through for the ORAD. I don't know if they had a consultant or not. So I guess maybe we would want to know that.
So we ask it, and if they haven't, then we ask for it, because,
Now, I also, I'm not sure, like, if, since the ORAD and the wetlands line was already delineated, if you could go back and reopen that.
well, sometimes we bring in a consultant for a second opinion on just how you're handling the septic and where you're positioning things, and this is a huge project, and I don't know what they routinely do in Medfield, but we routinely do that.
So a comment being, are you having a consultant review the project?
Right, because we think that it's complicated and big enough that it would be appropriate, and it has an indirect effect on us.
Which way that stream comes, there's one on the south end and one on the north end stream. Which way are they flowing? Is that, there's a stream, is that on the upper portion?
I don't, which stream, I don't know.
Did you say there's a,
Not a stream delineated.
They don't have a stream delineated?
No.
there's a, on the, it'd be on the, it's going from left to right, sort of going, so that'd be going northeast. There's a line that goes into into wall, yeah, that, there's a line with some marks on it, whatever that is.
But
Is that a stream?
so
Yeah, that, okay, now there,
right here is a gravel
right,
access for this upland area here.
okay, and that's where they're gonna put their septic system?
A large septic field is going there, yes.
Okay, now then, right below that gravel
Okay.
road, where that starts, there's a line that crosses, it
Right,
wiggles, is that a stream?
this line?
No. No, that'd be a road. Below that, a little bit,
That's a
little
stone
south.
wall?
Oh, it's right there. There's a line going to the right. What is that?
This sign,
Yeah,
that's the wetlands boundary.
wetland boundary.
Yep, goes all along here.
So the wetland is to the north?
The wetlands is from here to here.
So it's going to the north. So that wetland line is the southerly end of that wetland.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and then here it goes.
I just was wondering if if there was a stream that was going through there, I would guess that would wind up at Turner's
It
Pond?
would, yeah. There
Right,
is a,
if there's a stream there, they would have to do a culvert crossing.
it's a good question, though. I wonder where that stream that does come from Medfield is.
You're not talking about Mine Brook? you're
Yeah.
talking-
No,
Oh.
no,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
that's not. Mine Brook would be on the other side. This is, our property is across from the Elm Street School.
Yes.
Okay. So
Right,
that
so-
stream, if a stream goes through there from that wetland, it would flow into Turner's Pond,
You would think, yeah.
unless it went towards West Street, which would be towards
Right. So if
LaRusso's.
you have, you had Mass Mapper up there before?
I'm just wondering, is there anything from that would, we need to be concerned about at the border? They've got houses right against the property line.
So there is a stream, yeah, here's Turner's Pond. Here's Turner's Pond.
Turner's Pond's on that,
Yeah,
right, yeah.
There may be a stream that runs through here.
I think there
There's
is.
that one.
I think there is.
I don't know, this stream may connect this direction, I'm not sure. There's a stream here, up here. I can look into that, see
Yeah.
if there's a stream that connects from that area to Turner's Pond.
Yeah, it just, if they're, you've got a 24-house subdivision?
Yeah.
And that's the septic system for the whole 24 houses?
No, there's a smaller one, there's
Oh, for
either
large-
one or two
yeah.
smaller ones as well.
Just what would be, what would be concern with any contamination from there?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you've got there's a fair number of units to go into, whatever number it is, it's still a fair number. And then those houses, those three to the right, are right on the border.
Yeah.
I don't know what the scale is on that, but they're fairly close.
Are
That-
there any trails or anything back there?
There's the trail that starts down across the street from the Elm Street School and comes out by LaRusso's. There's a trail that there's a monument back there of the corner for the property corner between Medfield and Walpole. There's a granite monument. And wasn't that the Getz Trail?
Yeah.
Al? Yeah. And that is in there, but we don't want any new trails put in. We don't want, they could, I don't know, I'm not sure where that monument is relative to this parcel, but that monument is would be a part of this parcel here.
And that monument has 3 towns come together at that granite marker.
Is it 3?
Yeah.
I know it was Medfield and Walpole.
Oh, there's 3.
Oh,
I'm not clear on what the third one is.
well, that would be my concern with that they aren't going to have, what's going to keep people from making trails into Walpole,
Okay.
you know. It's not posted. Unless we want them to put up no trespassing signs on the property line. That's a fairly large,
Or no alteration
No.
zones
No
along,
Yeah.
alteration.
yeah.
along.
No
that.
dumping, because, I mean,
Yeah.
the dumping is completely off. We don't know if Medfield does that, but we do, so that's what we would like.
Yeah, those properties along that
Yep,
line.
that's where all the leaves will go.
We want to be a friendly neighbor, but don't dump on us.
Don't dump on us.
Okay, anybody have anything else they're concerned about?
Does a community like this have a requirement to have annual septic system inspections?
I don't know, so the public hearing is April 2nd,
Yeah.
so,
I doubt it. I mean,
Well, I would think
If they have
Medfield,
a failure, it's gonna all flow back into the wetlands, right? Potentially.
right. So I think it's hybrid too, so if anyone wants to listen to it, they can, or, you know.
is there any delineation right now? Is there just any boundary at all, or just no? Between the Walpole property and this property?
I'm not sure,
Okay.
I don't know if there's anything.
Just curious if there's like a stone wall or something that goes along, I don't know.
Doesn't look,
I doubt it.
I think,
Up in a wetland.
Okay.
I don't recall a stone wall out there, do
No,
you, Al?
no,
Nothing.
just a lot of woods.
Just a lot of
Yeah.
woods. Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
so if you go out down if you go down the Getz Trail, you'll come out to this area? It's
Well,
on this parcel,
there's a
the
spur,
Walpole
there's a
parcel.
spur
If you
off
go
the
to
trail.
Getz Trail, going out of town, on the right-hand side, the land slopes up a little bit, and about, 10, 12 feet away from the trail is that marker.
Marker isn't on the trail, there's a little
Yeah.
spur off
Yeah,
that to the
okay.
marker.
And that's the Medfield boundary.
Medfield, and Al says what other town would be there? I don't think there wouldn't be,
Norfolk? Is it a three-town boundary?
That's what I understood, there was markings on 3 sides.
Yeah, it's Norfolk. See?
First North?
is Norfolk the,
Yeah.
a butter?
Yeah,
Okay,
It is, where?
yeah, okay,
that's what makes it interesting, it's 3 towns.
yeah,
No, it's just the
Am I
border
wrong?
of Medfield and Walpole.
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Oh, so it's not Norfolk?
No, it would only be Walpole and Medfield.
Yeah,
At the corner.
probably.
It-
Yeah,
It's a
Maybe it's
corner.
where it takes
Yeah, okay,
the
that,
L shape.
yeah,
So that's
okay.
what makes it unusual.
Oh,
It's where the Walpole directly goes
okay,
yeah.
all right.
west.
I only remember the Walpole Medfield, but I haven't been there in a long time. Anyhow, we want to keep that and not have a bunch of trails coming through there for,
All right,
or is it dumping yard waste, et cetera?
right.
So do you agree about a consultant? I mean, ask them if they have one, if not, they should.
I think that's up to them to decide
I
what
know, but
they
we're doing
want.
comments, we're not telling them what to do, we're just making suggestions.
We can ask if they
Yeah.
have a third-party consultant.
Yeah.
You know the Medfield agent by any chance?
So the Medfield planner came in and we talked to her for a little while. She's very nice. Their conservation agent, Finn, is relatively new. They were kind of in between agents, I think when the ORAD occurred. So I just talked to him briefly on the phone.
So they might like suggestions.
Okay,
And she seemed pretty kind of new. And she seemed really young. That's the only reason I say that. But she seemed very on top of things.
Okay, anybody have anything else? Okay. We have anything else? All right, we're going to, we have to do this while the meeting's open. Okay, we can do that, okay?
So are we moving to go into executive session? Or do we move to adjourn? What do we do?
Well, no, we got to move to go into executive session and then
Okay.
indicate that's the end of the regular session.
So I move we go into executive session.
Second.
Okay, this is a roll call.
Yeah.
So we'll go
I,
Bailey, yeah,
Aye.
Amelia,
Aye.
Al, Betsy, Jack, aye.
Okay. So do we
So-
also move to adjourn? I think
I
we
think
do.
we do to
Okay.
adjourn the regular meeting to go into executive
Okay,
session,
so I move to adjourn
regular
the
meeting.
regular meeting.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
So, we are off. Turn this off.